my mind had established this belief that that was the only thing that would have been aligned and been financially supportive. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Orphic. My name is Alyssa. I'm an astrophysicist. I have my PhD, and I'm interested in understanding the consciousness of the universe and essentially how we blend astrophysics with spirituality to understand the energetics of the universe. There's souls in celestial bodies, and there's a lot more that's going on, you know? There's a lot that's going on out there, and I really I just want to know how it all works, and that's what I'm trying to do. So follow me on Instagram, please, at interdimensional.astrophysics. Hey.
I'm just so curious. You said you're like, I want to know how it all works. So my question is, how are you doing that? How are you learning how it all works?
You know what, Mikayla? That's a great question. I'm receiving downloads about it, and it's on me to continue to dive for knowledge in the astral realms or my own inner knowledge. So, yeah. That's my answer.
That wasn't to put you on the spot. I was genuinely curious because I'm sure others would like to know.
Yeah, I would say the process is, it's like I have all these seedling ideas, you know, and it's kind of just now on me to continue putting together these pieces and start really, you know, utilizing my recently developed channeling skills and all these things, and kind of continue trusting myself to I don't know, to ask the universe how it works and see and listen for the answer, you know. It's basically what it is.
Yeah. So the answer to that is connecting to your inner wisdom, or that's the how.
Yeah, well, because what I would say is that the curiosity is there, you know. It's the curiosity, and that's the first, that's the piece, because when the curiosity is implanted in you, it's usually for some reason. If you have, you know, there's a desire that's implanted in your heart, then there's some corresponding, you know, something on the other side of that desire. So for me, it's like I have this there, I just know all of the unanswered questions that we have, and all of the spirituality that science can't explain yet. And
yes.
You know, I basically have this curiosity to get more answers. So slowly but surely, that's the plan.
Mm-hmm. And you're getting the answers through connecting to your inner wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just curious to, I guess, paint the picture of what that looks like, because you do have your PhD in what was it called? Astronomy? Astrophysics. Astrophysics. I don't know why that was so hard. I wanted to say you have your PhD in astrophysicist, but that's what you are.
Right.
Because like there's also like, I don't know, when most people I think of like a scientist or whatever, and they're like expanding their work, I think of you kind of like in a lab somewhere, like writing out like a bunch of equations and stuff. So like for somebody, their how could be that, right? So that's why I'm just so curious to hear like what your process of your how is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the knowledge that I have already is going to be a part of it, in terms of continuing that knowledge. The way that I see it is more so like continuing my learning of the knowledge in the ways that I already have, like research that's on computers and with data and all these things, and that as time goes on and my spiritual side just opens more and more, the connection between the spiritual and the scientific will become more and more obvious because, you know, it's like years ago I started off just doing this stuff, and then it's kind of been this gradual thing where as I go towards the spiritual side, then, you know, it's like the downloads come about like, oh, this is why the soul of how a planet forms is important. And it's like the way that I see it is like the little pieces kind of just keep coming together. Like, oh, why do planets preferentially choose these elements or whatever? Like, oh, maybe that has to do with the spirituality of it. So kind of slowly, like in figuring out where spirituality might be able to answer some of the unanswered questions that we have. But it does require more of the science side, which is what part of what I'm like realizing now I need to kind of dip back into. We'll talk about that when we talk about how we're doing. But, you know, I would say the pendulum swings with sometimes I'm focused on more scientific things, and sometimes I'm leaning more spiritual, and I kind of got to bring back some academic parts into my mind, because I think that will help me. I think that will, you know, kind of make me feel a little bit more balanced. And yeah,
fair enough. I mean, and you've already had so many like really, really cool, interesting downloads. I just wanted you to kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah,
like
it's a good question.
There was one that was an older download that you just made like a reel on. Have you talked about that download on the podcast yet?
No, I could talk about it today though.
Yeah, maybe it's something we can get into. What was that? What was the download again?
It was like it was about equations and how the universe is like one side of an equation.
Ooh, I love that. That's interesting, since I already kind of like brought that up of like working in a lab and like doing the equations. So yeah, that's really cool. I just feel like I just got like a download of you getting like equations directly downloaded to you from the Greys. So that's kind of interesting of actual like physical like equations and stuff like that. So
oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, because they're just like, okay, well, we know, so here you go, and you can like teach everyone. Super, super interesting. But anyways, I'm Mikayla with Mariposa Moonchild. I'm a spiritual guide and energy worker using things like shadow alchemy and empathic energy medicine. So I'm here to be a part of the ripple effect of activating self inner healing. We heal ourselves, we heal each other, we heal the planet. It's time. We're shifting. The earth is shifting. We have some density to move within ourselves, but for the earth, and we're moving into a new time. Into a new time where we can leave this suffering and pain behind. But right now we have this responsibility to move the density. We have the responsibility to face our pain. Like it's not our fault that what we've been through in our life is not our fault. Our pain is not our fault. Our pain isn't necessarily okay, but it is our responsibility. We're the only ones that can choose to save ourselves or do the work. No one else can save you. No one else can save you. As even myself, as much as I want to support and guide, I cannot help somebody who's not willing to do the work. So we're moving into a time where, you get the choice if you want to do the work and take responsibility for your pain. And the good news is you don't have to do it alone, and you have the potential inside you, and you're really, really fucking powerful. So you have the potential to move all that and face your pain and face what's come up in your life, and also to do the shadow alchemy and to alchemize those shadows into your greatest gifts or the greatest parts of you, and to share those gifts with others to activate and help them along their healing journey. So that's a ripple effect, baby. And that's what I'm here for.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
let's ground in. Shall we?
Yeah, I need it bad.
I lit some sage in here before we started recording, and it instantly put me in a better mood. I have this like really nice smelling sage. I mean, not all sage is created equal. I'm gonna light some again. It smells so good.
That was a release.
Get out of here, demons.
I know Bryce loves my Palo Santo. I was like, he came home this morning and I had just kind of like cleansed myself, and he like walked in. He's like, I'm like, you want some of that, don't ya?
Don't ya?
It was just like,
that's funny.
I did a little session on him yesterday. So
yeah,
it was good. But it's also just like when I was at Shambhala and I'd like light it in the crowd. It's funny because some people would find you. They're like,
yeah,
they'd smell it and they'd come up to you and they'd be like, do you have Palo Santo? They're like, smudge me. So interesting though, because some people just like wouldn't even know any better. But then some people are like, what's that?
Yeah.
They're like, I'm coming for you. I'm magnetizing the people. Shout out to any of the Shams people are still listening.
If you
Love
know, you
okay,
know.
let's ground in.
Let's ground in.
Got a little bit of that chaotic energy today, so yeah, let's ground in. Okay, if you're able to, just take a second to close your eyes and place your feet flat on the floor or wherever feels good. Let's even do a hand on the heart. Oh, breathing in that Palo Santo smoke. Deep breath in. Filling your lungs all the way to the top. Pause. And let it go through the mouth. Let it go. Another deep, big breath in. Filling your lungs all the way to the top. Pausing here. Feel your heart beating in your chest. Open your mouth and let it go. Another big breath in, filling your lungs all the way to the top. Pausing. And when you're ready, opening your mouth and letting it go. Letting go of anything heavy, anything that feels negative, letting it go with the breath. Let's take a moment to imagine roots grounding down out of our root chakras, out of the base of your spine. Imagine these big, thick roots grounding down into the earth, intertwining with the soil and the earth's crust, diving deeper and deeper and deeper. Let any energy that's ready to go be released through your roots into the earth. Let Mother Gaia hold you here. It's safe. It's safe. It's safe. Let go. Surrender to the moment. Moment by moment, we are here. Imagine those roots continuing to grow down deeper and deeper into the earth till they reach the center of the earth and wrap around a massive rose quartz crystal. Now breathing with the breath, bringing beautiful white light up through your roots and up into your body, up into your root chakra, to your sacral chakra, to your solar plexus, into your heart chakra, into your throat chakra, to your third eye, into your crown, all the way up into the cosmos, wrapping around a star and coming back down into your body through your chakra system and back down into the earth. Let's take another deep breath together. activating this energy and let it go. Bring yourself back into this space when you're ready.
I'm back.
Hi. Welcome.
Hey. Okay, so
I'm about ready to go to sleep now.
I know, I'm being powered by Source. Please power me up. Okay,
so
but
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you know, it is empowering. The fact that I recently finished 40 consecutive days of the Kundalini Prosperity Kriya. So let me explain.
Hell yeah.
So I haven't talked about Kundalini as much lately, but I have talked about Kundalini yoga a bunch on this podcast because it changed my entire life. Still stand by that, very much so. And I want to start getting back into some more I want to start doing more long form classes again at home. But basically, okay, so the teaching for Kundalini yoga, first off, for anyone that doesn't know that much about Kundalini yoga, it's basically magic. It's like spiritual yoga. It's magic. It's real life magic.
Sure magic.
And it's so cool because it's so real and it's so magical. And it's using a combination of movement, breath work, and specifically mantra, because these sounds these are sound codes. These sounds hold specific frequencies that really kind of cut through your aura and just shift things around in your aura. So it's pure magic. It's amazing. It's life-changing. A year ago when I started getting back into actually finishing my PhD work, I started doing daily Kundalini yoga, and it completely did a 180 in my life. So couldn't recommend it enough. Also, as starseeds, it is essentially mandatory technology. It's really mandatory. Everyone should be doing it because the way that I see it is that it's the most powerful technology to adjust to shift your vibration and your aura and everything. It's literally the most powerful, potent technology that there is, and not everyone can be trusted with it, or more so that not everyone would even be interested in it. But the people that would be interested in it are people that are awake and aware and know how to wield this magic, So I really think that anyone that's really serious about this path should be using Kundalini yoga to improve their lives. That's the way that I see it. So in Kundi, there is this teaching that they have these certain amounts of days and minutes and things that you do these movements for. But the teaching is that if you do this one thing, or if you choose something and commit to doing a specific kriya is a set of movements that are all paired together. They all go together. So this one that I did was about 15 minutes long. And the teaching is that if you do just some movement or something for 40 days in a row, the same one, then you will completely shift some of them have the ability to shift your cellular structure to completely start changing your cells and all that biology stuff, because there's so much biology in Kundalini, obviously. But 40 days is is the amount that they say really you kind of really solidify it in your aura, and you're able to make a solid ripple. So there's this kriya that my brother had taught me a while ago, or last year or something, called Soba Kriya, and it's for prosperity. But prosperity comes in all forms, Prosperity is whatever you need. So
yes.
yeah. So, it's abundance, but it's also whatever you need. And it's a particularly annoying set because there's a lot of like putting your hands up, and there's a lot of like arm tiredness in it. So it's it's like 4 sets of movements. One of them, which is with a combination of chanting. So like one of the chants is har, HAR, which is the abundance chant. Kind of sounds like HUD. And so there's something with HUD. Like I usually just say HUD.
I thought you were supposed to like kind of like roll your tongue with that one.
Yeah, right. I usually say like HUD.
HUD.
Yeah. You just need you need the you need the tip of your tongue to touch the roof of your mouth in some capacity. That's the importance. And well, I'll share, I don't know if I have shared this before, but in one of the Kundalini workshops that I did, my teacher has said that she read something from the book about about the whole thing with your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. And she says it's like shaking, like when the more that your tongue touches the roof of your mouth, then you kind of like vibrate that sound. It's just, it's so cool. I just love all this stuff so much because it's just so, how does it work? So that is a part of the prosperity commands. And I would say commands, because what you're doing, you're commanding things into your aura. And she says it's like, it was like, oh, have your tongue like vibrate the roof of your mouth like you're shaking a tree, like you're shaking a fruit tree, and you're waiting at the bottom, like getting the fruits, like shake it with that much intensity, like that is the analogy, like I'm shaking this tree and I'm getting all of the amazing fruits from it. So I don't know, I just really like that. And yeah, and a bunch of other things with your hands waving in the air and all this stuff. And I'm really proud of myself because there had been plenty of times in the past where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for 40 days, or like I'm going to do this every day in a row. And of course, like I'd never had committed to it. And I've done this one before, and I've seen some great results and everything. But I was like, no, like I'm really going to do this. So yeah, it takes about 15 minutes, the specific one. This is also basically the only Kundi I've done in these last 40 days. I haven't done classes. Basically, like would tack on some cat cow to this, and cat cow is awesome. It's cat cow is like one of the best things that you can do for your youth, because like your youth lives in your spine. So when you get your spinal fluids moving, so don't skip on cat cow, everyone. It's really great for everything. It's as my teacher says, cat cow is not a warm up. It's a standalone like movement. Like you can move a lot of good energy with cat cow. So it's not just like a little warm up. So on August 1st, which is like a few days after I got back from Canada, I declared to me and to, my siblings that care, or anyone else that cares, that I was going to really commit to doing this abundance kriya for 40 days. And I did. And so every single day, I did not miss a single day, and I use the app on my phone, Streaks, to help me count, or just, it's satisfying that you can kind of like press down on the button and then it counts all your days. It's pretty easy to count though, because I started from August 1st. But yeah, it was like commitment and consistency. That's not my thing. So the fact that I really did something every single day for 40 days, first off, wow, I'm extremely proud of myself, because I don't think I've ever done anything for 40
How
days
long is it?
In a row.
Did you say that already?
It's about 15 minutes.
Okay,
it takes about 15 minutes, yeah. So like not terrible, but yeah, but definitely a thing to commit to. And I feel like I learned a lot just from that process, or just kind of, it was definitely a nice self-trust exercise, really committing to something and then seeing yourself follow through in that. So that was awesome. And kind of just what I had some downloads sort of about how any of it works, like halfway through, just because it's just so funny. It's like everything that you're doing with Kundalini, it's like you're just you're chanting and like you're moving your arms and you're just doing all of these things, and you're really just like yelling at the universe, and you're saying like, universe, like I'm here, like come give me everything that's mine. Like you're just the way, another way that I see it, this, I think like David, my brother, had made this analogy before with the reason that you have to enforce it every day in your aura is because it's almost like you're carving out, it's like you're in a little sandbox. Your aura is like in a sandbox, and every day you kind of have to carve out that same pattern in like your little sandbox aura of, you know, commanding your abundance. And then because life happens, right, the sandbox gets a little shaken, and so then maybe the next day the pattern is not as clear because life and because things move over it. So then the next day, no, you reinforce it again, carve the same pattern into your surrounding sandbox of an aura. Is this like little visual making sense? You know what I mean, right? Like just carving it into the sand, and then you're enforcing that into your aura every single day for 40 days. And it really just creates like I'm visualizing like a carpet, like you shake out a carpet. It's like massive ripple. And it's kind of like the way that I'm seeing it energetically is like, yeah, all the good and all of the high vibrational, all of your opportunities that are for your highest good exist at some high frequency that maybe has not, you know, maybe you have not reached it yet. But it's like if everything is kind of up here, it's like you're doing the Kundalini, and it's like you're literally bringing it to you. You're creating all of these funnels. Like another visual that I would pair with it was kind of, at the end of every practice, I would really just visualize, I would turn up my magnetism, but I would also kind of visualize it as like, I'm just putting out these funnels, putting out these like little cords for all of my good things to just enter the funnel and to just kind of come my way. Mm-hmm. So I just like that visual too, or just kind of that thought of like, you're just, you know, you're making noise, like you're letting your presence be known by doing these chants and doing these movements, and you're saying like, I'm here, like I'm ready for my abundance, and you're carving out like a pathway for those things to get to you. And yeah. So
how do you feel? How did it go?
Yeah, I'm rich.
Yeah.
In love.
Fuck yeah, you are.
Yeah. No, it feels good. I'm trying to decide. I think I might do it again for 40 days or do another. I don't know. I'm trying to decide where to go from here. I asked my Kundalini teacher about it, and she was like, I was like, oh, any advice for how to kind of prime myself to receive or all this stuff? And she was like, keep going. She said, keep going. Because when I'm doing it, I'm in a commanding mode. And I like that. I'm in a commanding mode. So I'm like, you know, commanding my abundance from the universe. And I was like, but my arms, but it's fine. I know I gave myself a few days off, but I think I will probably go back to doing it again, or like as often as I could. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I mean, there's some I don't know. I think another thing with Kundalini is like, obviously in order to be ready to receive, you kind of just have to face these things. So sometimes it brings up the things that you have to face in order to be ready to receive.
A spiritual journey, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. And yeah, so I feel really proud that I did it, and I feel like I know that there's going to be good things coming from it. Like, if anything, my conversations with David, my brother, David's been like, I'm kind of like scared to see like this, because we know how real it is, like scared in like a funny and good way, because I may be. And I don't know, like I said before, prosperity comes in all forms. Like in these last few months, there have been departments of my life that I feel like I have an abundance of, and things like swelling in. And then technically for the financial part, it hasn't hit yet. It hasn't technically hit yet on the financial part. That's why I'm hoping it's kind of just in queue. But at the same time, it's on me. You have to co-create with the universe. I have to be sure to be in receiving mode, and I have to do my part to create this abundance that I just put into the field. But like I put a fucking lot in there.
Yeah. Well, we're also we're in a lot of retrogrades. I think like 6 planets are retrograde right now. One of them is Jupiter, which is the planet of abundance and luck, and it's retrograde. So right now is a time to cultivate inner abundance. And because like retrogrades are not bad, but people think they're bad. Right. It's more of like an opportunity. So instead of like losing your shit and trying to like get through the retrograde, I mean, you can do whatever that you want. You don't have to listen to me, but try looking at it as like an opportunity of reflecting on those kind of things and then going inwards. So right now, or at least what I kind of got is with the Jupiter retrograde is to, if the abundance and luck isn't necessarily being reflected in your external reality, go inwards. So what does it mean to have inner abundance? What does it mean to have inner prosperity? Like so what does that look like, and learning to cultivate that. So for me, I'm wanting to, have those routines and have that time where I connect to my inner wisdom and I cultivate that inner abundance. So that might look like my access to my spiritual tools, or access to my spiritual mentors or my guides, or clearing my channel and sitting with that every day. So I'm working with that. I mean, as you know, I've kind of been in a little bit of a chaotic energy. It kind of comes up and down, but that for me is what it means to cultivate and connect to my inner abundance. So I'm going to be focusing on that. And that Jupiter in retrograde goes until December 30th. However, but it is, if you're able to look inwards and focus on cultivating inner abundance, or really feeling into that inner abundance, then I think that's going to be reflected greatly in the external in the new year after the retrograde. So
yeah,
that gives me motivation.
I know, right? That's some crazy timing.
My mic just fucking fell over.
So Jupiter retrograde ends the day before my birthday. So then on my birthday,
day of your birthday.
Day before. My birthday is December 31st.
Oh, fuck, I thought it was the 30th. Sorry.
What kind of friend are you?
Worst friend ever. What's my birthday?
December 14th.
No. It is.
I know.
Sorry. I don't know why I thought it was the 30th.
I remember you asked me this last year too.
The day of your birthday?
No, it was, I don't know. I remember you were like, is your birthday the 30th or the 31st? But then I wasn't sure if you were asking my age.
Oh,
you were like,
because
you were like,
what I'm thinking.
You were
I'm
like 30th.
Age.
Yeah, you were like 30th or 31st, and I was like, 31st, but I'm gonna be 30. But this year's my golden birthday, 31.
That's exciting.
So, yeah. I was gonna say about the abundance stuff. It feels to me very obvious that just the stage of the spot that the universe has me in right now, and by the universe I mean me, because I've done it to myself, it's very obvious that I'm kind of in this pause where I'm seeing things. It's like my fears are very obvious, and it's very clear to me that like I'm entering a different level of the style that I'm receiving in, because I went 7 years as a grad student making my abundance from being a student, and that was just it, and that was like my entire way that I was paid, and that was just the way of life. So it was just, to me, that was like, oh, I do my regular life as a student and doing work, and yeah, that wasn't fucking easy either. I lost my mind 1,500 times. But now it's different, and it's going to be different, and like my earning abundance comes from certain things that I have to offer, like certain skills of mine, or certain, that comes from my worth and my value, and some of that is on me. Well, first off, it's on me to recognize the value that I offer and choose to create energy exchanges out of that, and that's a decision in itself too, to recognize that you have value and exchange it for that. And then just kind of just other, I don't know, just it's just I'm at this transition point personally of the ways that a new form of energy exchange for abundance, and it's scary to me. And I haven't like taken a first step in that, because I'm like, it's bringing up all of these fears. Like, what if I'm not good enough? Or like, what if I don't do a good job at this thing? And like, and I feel like it's kind of bringing up this fear of like, oh, and then my abundance would get taken away. It's like, oh, if I didn't do a good enough job. Whereas like grad school, it was a bit different because I constantly, quote unquote, didn't do a good enough job. I'm kidding. No, I was fine. I love you past me. But it was, my performance was able to fluctuate without it being reflected on like my paycheck. And so now I'm just entering a different realm of energy exchanges, and it's scary to me. And I see that, and I know that I've just been in this paralysis, kind of been in like afraid to take the first step, afraid to take a step, because then once ball is rolling, then that means I would have responsibilities. I'm scared to give myself responsibilities.
Yeah.
Again, it's been a long time since I've had a responsibility and had an exchange for it. And I'm, it's just kind of bringing up all this stuff, but it's very, I don't know. It's very obvious to me that like, I'm trying to acknowledge it and just face it head on. Definitely feels like, I was telling you yesterday, it feels like a bit of like a nervous system freeze mode, or like paralysis, which is all like nervous system related. That's what I've learned now, or I feel like that's what I know now. And like when when there's some kind of step that you could be taking that you're just not taking, and it's like, okay, why am I not taking this step? But I was thinking yesterday, like, we can pull on our personal strength from the past more. I was kind of just like, wait a minute, like, I've gotten through some tough shit already before in my life. I was like, oh, I've been in freeze mode on certain things, or like I've been afraid to take action before, and then I did take action, and then kind of got myself out of that situation. So it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of being called to draw on strength from the past, draw on strength from previous versions of yourself, is what was kind of coming to mind the last few days. Because when you feel I'm in that stuck mode, it feels that way.
Well, can we dive more into this right now?
Sure.
Like, so yeah, like what's coming up for you? What are the emotions that you're avoiding?
I think it's like, it's not wanting to go fully into act. It's like I guess the way that I'm seeing it now is, because like once you start momentum, right? Or once you start action on something, it's like it keeps going and it keeps coming. And it's like once you start, getting the ball rolling, then that means it continues, and that means continued energy. And I am like afraid that, yeah, I'm afraid that I won't be able to show up continuously, or that it's the other thing is this kind of the main part of what's making me in a freeze stuck mode right now is I'm trying to adjust this belief that it's difficult for me to be financially supported by something that like is aligned with my soul, because I had this other there was this job prospect that was going on for a long time, which is still kind of technically in the air. I might take an action step on that again soon, by the way, but I really thought it was going to come to fruition, and in my mind, it was maybe the only thing that would both feed my soul, because it was like consciousness research related, and I would have gotten paid like a normal salary to do it. And in my mind, nothing else exists that, in my mind, like then once that has kind of appeared to maybe not be as hot off the press, or as not be as probable or likely of an option in these last few months, or that it's not, not developing as obviously.
Yeah.
Once I was forced to be in a position where I had to take that off the table and reevaluate, and my mind had established this belief that that was the only thing that would have been aligned and been financially supportive. So then now it's bringing up this whole thing of like anything else that would be financially supportive is hard, or is going to be unaligned, or that I can't even find anything that would be similar to this. So that's kind of what it's like. Yeah, I went too far with putting my eggs in one basket, and I feel like I did that in my whole like belief system, which is making me now back to the drawing board, be like, abundance is hard. It's hard for me to find something that feeds my soul and is financially supportive.
And so those are the beliefs that you currently still carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me feel into this for a second. Is it possible that this opportunity that feels really aligned to you can still work out, but there is another job that could come in the meantime that could be a stepping stone to this job? Because it feels like maybe there's some more opportunities to learn and grow before completely accepting the other job that felt in the most alignment to you.
Yeah, I think that is possible. It's basically something that I'm starting to come to terms with now. And I kind of put a complete pause on thinking about that, or I don't know, or when I thought about looking for some other type of opportunity that maybe doesn't feel so aligned but would be of financial support. And then I don't know if like this like some other thing could still be maybe a little bit more aligned. Like, for example, I don't know, maybe there is some kind of other teaching thing or something related more to astronomy that I could do that would feel kind of aligned. But yeah, I guess sometimes it's like then considering something like a data science job, or considering something that I would have to learn some entirely new set of skills that to me doesn't feel important or relevant to my life purpose. That feels like ugh. But that's why I feel so squeezed right now, because I feel like I'm in a position where like where like maybe that's something that I should do, but because I'm like me spending any time learning some other skill that is not going to be relevant to like my passions feels like terrible. But I don't,
it's
that's
possible
that's
that
me being dramatic, I know.
no, it's your feelings. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And I can like fully relate to what this feels like. Is it possible though that with the first job you still would have to learn skills or learn things that wouldn't be quote unquote fully in alignment with your mission or passion?
I don't think so. I think that this other opportunity that was like floating in the field for a while, maybe still is. It feels like all of those things are things that I want to learn about naturally already. Just more of the physics equations and all these other things, and I don't know.
Is it possible that in your highest timeline that job is not ready for you yet?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's like I do always surrender to the fact that I don't know what's best for me all the time. And God laughs when you make plans, because I sure thought that if in April, I thought I was going to have I thought everything was going to be looking a certain way for me by like June. And I was wrong. So what do I know about timing or about the opportunity itself? And I don't know. It's just that it's like then you're expected to know, or then it's just this external pressure is just piling, and it's like, okay, I need to make this money and I need to make it soon. And then I'm like, and then it's like, I just feel like then there's this, there's this little aspect of me, like, or my higher self up like in the spiritual realms, or thinking about, the unseen, or what you can't see yet. And I'm like, no, but I need something like, no, like this it was supposed to look different, or I was supposed to have something more aligned. And I'm like waiting for that, but I'm like, fucking life, I still have to like do the money and the pressure and everything. So then I'm like,
yeah.
But then I think that's what it is. It's like this secret, it's like this, I don't know, just whatever version of me, or just feeling like, you trust that something is that it's like I can't let go of the fact that I know it's like I know there's something that's more aligned, and I just know there's something that's gonna like feel so like good and push me out of my comfort zone and all this stuff, and it's like I want that so badly, and I don't know if it's just not the timing for it, and it just and that's what feels hard is just crumbling under that pressure, and under that, like, it's so much like root chakra, like unsafety stuff with the money. It's just like, it just feels like lack of safety, and it just feels like it's running out, and it just feels like it's just like this piling pressure and living with my parents, and I'm just like, I don't want this physical reality around me anymore. Like, I want things to shift. Like, I want more of my freedom, and I just feel like I'm like suffocated sometimes, and then I think what it is, what's making me emotional, is that it's like there is this part of me that's like, but I know that there's something aligned for me, and and I think I'm still like not over the way that it all unfolded with this other, with this other opportunity, or thinking that it was gonna come along, and just kind of, I just feel like I'm kind of like I don't know, I just feel like a little stuck, like there's this aspect of me from like June that's still like just like like waiting, like where, like I thought that I was supposed to have this aligned opportunity, and then now it hasn't come, and then it's just this amplified feelings of like lack of safety. It's just like, and it's like, hurry up, and it's like, and I don't know, I'm having a hard time in my environment these days. Like, it's putting a lot of pressure on me. Like, I just don't feel very settled, and then it makes it feel like it's so far away. It makes it feel like this like freedom, or this, sovereignty, or different kind of life that I want is so far away, because I'm like, oh, I don't fucking know. And then it feels like draining, like to have to potentially have like go down another path that could be a lot of money, or that could be good financially, but that's like, it just doesn't feel good in terms of what I want to be learning. And I don't know, I really think that there's like a huge aspect of me that's still just majorly like, what the fuck, or grieving, or confused about like whatever happened with this other job, and why it didn't happen on the timeline I thought it was supposed to. I think there's just a huge part of me that's like, I don't know, I just feel like we're moving into this time, and it's like I want to be doing something that's aligned, and
yeah.
I didn't expect that to get so emotional.
Yeah, well, sorry. Not sorry. I asked if we could dive deeper into it. Okay. The root chakra and the safety stuff is good. When I tune in, what I get is you're not supposed to know how this job thing is going to unfold. I don't see that this job thing is out of the realm of possibility. However, there is some learning around patience with which, and you're like, I could literally hear your thoughts right there. You're like, I've been fucking patient. You're like, I've been fucking patient. I've been like waiting all year. No, there's some other things at play with this job thing that have nothing to do with you. Some like internal things that are moving and shifting within that job container, which means that it's just simply not ready for you, is the energy that I'm getting. However, in the meantime, there is this feeling of instability, unsafety that's coming up, as well as the grief. We're going to come back to that feeling. There's that root chakra, the stuff that you said, that you really good awareness on, but that unsafety, that instability that is being fed by your external circumstances.
Yeah.
So the belief is, if I have this job, if I make this certain amount of money, I'm safe. Or maybe I'm worthy. It feels like there's a tie of worthiness attached to that too. Now with Jupiter in retrograde and us focusing or having the opportunity to go inwards and focus on our inner abundance and cultivating that within us, what does it look for you, for your safety and your stability, not to be tied to your external circumstances? That is where your medicine lies right now.
What does it look like? It's like, that's just why it gets so tricky with the whole stuff of
absolutely
with living at home, and just having like, it's just like literally my safe, it just, and you're not self-sufficient. Just you don't feel like you feel like you're not in charge of your own like, it feels like I'm not in charge of that. It's like I don't feel like I don't have a say in anything right now.
Yeah. mean, you're being pushed right now, no doubt. You're being pushed to the edges of.
And the other thing is like, I still have some. This is the other thing I think that's really contributing to the lack of safety thing. Like, I still have financial holes to get myself out of from the past fucking 3 years of, and I guess it kind of led up to it before, but from these times of more addiction, from times of not making good decisions, like I still have like, I have some holes to dig myself out of still from that. And so I feel like that's still being carried with me too. So that's part of like debts to pay off, things like that, and things that were all from a previous time period of my life and things that I'm not proud of, you know?
Yep.
Like, and I think that's kind of contributing to it because it is this extra burden. It's like, you know, it just makes me feel like I'm deeper and deeper into this well because it's, I don't know, stack on this debt from all those stupid decisions that you made a few years ago. They're still here. They're still right here, you know? Yeah. And it's like, you know, so it just feels like it puts me in this mental position that it feels over my head.
Yep. I relate to it a lot with a lot of the emotions and the things that are coming up. I think this is,
and I think it's like, it's because that's still there, energetic. It's completely still affecting me energetically, you know? And I feel like once I could, it feels like, oh, if I could finally actually clear those things and they would actually be behind me. And then maybe we could pretend that they never happened, but still, it's still on me because, you know, I literally still have the debts to pay that are reflective of all of that time period of my life where I wasn't proud of the decisions that I was making.
Yeah. You're carrying a lot of weight with that. If you haven't noticed, we're doing a full-on session on you here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you willing to forgive yourself for the debts that you have?
I think that I haven't. I think that I really haven't yet, clearly. Right? I guess like I thought that I have, or I mean, no, clearly I haven't because I haven't really, you know, I haven't learned some of these financial lessons entirely yet. And
so what do you think? What do you think is the financial lesson that you're supposed to learn, or you haven't learned yet, or you should learn?
I'm not really sure, honestly.
Yeah.
Because
what were you supposed to do different?
It just feels like it all comes down to this whole like shame of like responsibility thing, you know. It just feels like I was irresponsible with my choices, and it feels like what I'm supposed to do is be responsible with my money. And
so you don't trust yourself with responsibility.
Yeah. Right.
So if you have a block around trusting yourself with responsibility, how are you able to bring in the responsibility of a new job, aligned or not?
Yeah, that's what I've been asking myself the last few days, and that's why I haven't been doing shit to get there.
But including the one that felt quote unquote aligned.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree. Yeah. It's like yeah, I don't feel responsible. Or I'm hoping to rewrite that story, but I'm still kind of, yeah, carrying that stuff around with me, and then yeah, I don't know, just rebuilt a whole other little shame bubble.
Yeah.
From this time, that's carried over.
So another thing is, if you feel like you're supposed to physically have this debt cleared and have all this stuff cleared, and if this shows up into your reality and gets rid of it and it feeds your external validation, have you really learned or moved through, how do I word it, the lessons or what's coming up around? Because if it's just being fed externally, your belief is still going to be that it's the external that makes you safe. It's the abundance showing up in your external that keeps you safe, that clears this, that's attached to your worth. So if that's not moving and happening right now, you're being asked to feel into knowing your worth regardless of these things. And there is a block, or there is something for you to move through and learn with that right now. Because if it just all comes in right now and clears that all up, and you feel, oh, I'm all cleared and now I'm safe because I have this money that's feeding everything that I feel guilty and shameful about, you haven't actually moved through those shadows or that density, so that those belief systems remain with you.
Yeah.
So back to I know this isn't for everyone. Some people don't resonate with this, but how is our circumstances and our experiences happening for us versus to us?
Is that a question?
You got a question?
No, I said, is that a question? Or are we just lingering on that?
Aha. I mean, it is a question, but it's also, you can answer it or you can not answer it. Something to contemplate either way.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I guess no, you're good. I guess it's just the awareness of all of this has just been very prevalent for the last few days of just it's just knowing that I'm completely pausing.
Yeah. You're in a pressure cooker, no doubt. Pause. You're in it. I can feel it. A lot of us are going to relate to this at whatever the circumstances are, what's happening. I relate to this too. Seems to be easier to walk someone through it if it's not me.
Yeah.
You're in a pressure cooker, no doubt. And it does feel like we're being squeezed through this discomfort of where there's some things where it's like, I can't hide from them anymore. They're in my face. And now it's like,
yeah,
you have the choice, not just you, anyone. It's like, are you willing to make the choice to face it and move through it? Because we're being faced with these things to move through it, to move the density, to move the shadow so we can receive whatever's on the other side of it, And I was recently in this story of myself. I was in this big circle, this gathering full of people that I was excited for, and we had to go around the room and say something vulnerable. And it was like, don't think about what you're going to say. Be present with what everyone's going to say. And then when it comes to you, just say the first thing on your mind. And the first thing that came up in my mind, I was like, oh, fuck. I could already feel the lump in my throat. I was going to cry. And for me, I'm still working on vulnerability, especially in big groups. With one-on-one, I'm pretty good with it. I'm a really good one-on-one connector, talker. But in big groups where I have to, someone like me that's empathic, or my past story has been around, we all are, if you're here listening, you are empathic, but my stories have been around micromanaging the way people perceive me. it's a lot of energy to try to micromanage 30 people, how they're going to perceive me. And for me in that moment, my worst case scenario was that I cry in front of all of these people. And it was interesting because in the past I would have been like, guides, help me be confident, help me to not cry because I didn't want to face that. And it was funny because that lump came up in my throat and I asked them, help me, help me, help me. And it just came through so clearly.
And you cried.
No, you have to face this. You're at a place or a level, I feel like I'm searching for another word, but you're in a space where it's time to face these things and move through them. So I knew I was going to cry, and I knew that I was probably going to ugly cry in front of all these people, but this was going to be part of the medicine and part of the alchemy and for me to move through it. So I was like, oh, fuck, I guess I just have to surrender to it. And then after, it's like, was that really worst case scenario? Is that I cry in front of a group of people that I know are super loving and accepting and I can feel them anyways? But at the time it felt like that. And I just had to move through it and face it. And it was an opportunity for me to heal that wound of community that I had inside myself, heal that wound of being vulnerable that I held inside of myself. And I know I still have work to do on it, but that's part of the beginnings of moving through that and moving whatever that is up and out and through me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else is coming up for you? I'm not done with you yet, so.
Well, I was gonna say though, for the, like, you were saying the medicine. Let's go back to what you said about the medicine, or like finding the safety without needing the external circumstances to change. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we have the belief work, really feeling into our beliefs and what we're in denial of in our beliefs and what we actually believe. So I think it's easy to be like, I trust the universe. Do you? Do you? So moving through some of those beliefs, we can go. And then there's different ways to reprogram our beliefs. I'll see in a second here if I might do something with you, but there's some other stuff that we got to move through first. Okay. So what's coming? Feeling into the belief right now of trusting your circumstances, trusting God, creator, universe. Is that something, do you have the capacity to fully trust and fully surrender right now?
I think, I mean, I do. I think I'm actively in the process of, like I said, with like the grief, or just, I'm kind of just, I am still coming to terms with that whole concept of believing, because of how, because there's a huge part of me that's like looking at the circumstances and everything, and that's like I thought that it, especially at this point where, we're like 8 months into the podcast, and I'm speaking so much truth online and all these things, and I just feel so on path. And I think there is this like disappointment, and there is this like difference of managing the expectations, because I think there is this like feeling of like, shouldn't I have the financial support by now? And feeling like, what, feeling like, why haven't I been rewarded with that yet?
Do you ever feel like, it's like if you do the right thing, you'll be rewarded, but if you do the wrong thing, you'll be punished?
Right.
Even if it's by the universe, right?
Yeah. Right. And I think I do think that there is some part of that with this, and it's taken kind of this long to come around to, this long as in, I guess I'm just saying, like, the year, the point that I'm at where I'm like, there is this extra piece where I'm like, what the hell? Like, I thought this really aligned thing was coming, and like I'm like so on my path, and I'm like doing all these things, and it's like I just feel like it doesn't make sense, that I'm still floundering. It feels like so much for either, yeah, that it just, it feels like nothing, or that it feels like I have to like scrounge or figure something out from scratch now, and I'm just like, no, it feels like this, yeah, a bit of this anger, I guess, that it's like I should, yeah. And I think too, because like it is so hard to like speak all this truth online and everything. And actually, I was going to talk about this with in the beginning of just talking about still processing everything from the mushroom episodes and how good they were, and how much you were liberated by the end of the second episode, and you were like so liberated, like, I don't fucking care, like, I'm just gonna do it. And it's like, I obviously do have that mentality, but in terms of just, the stuff that I post online on my Instagram and on this podcast and everything, like, it's really hard. It's still like really hard for me to like say all this shit, as an academic, as just, that you have some eyeballs on you of old friends or just whatever, and you don't know what they think. And it's just, sometimes I step back and I like look at all the things I'm saying on there, and, we're talking about astral missions to a different planet and just talking about all this stuff, and I'm just like, holy shit, like, what am I saying? But like, obviously I stand by all of it, but it truly is like, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
To put that all out there for everyone to fucking see. Like, it takes a lot, and there's a lot of energy on the back side of it sometimes that is like this, like, that feeling that just like, oh god, I can't believe I fucking am just saying all this shit. And there's still,
yeah,
it's still there. And
yeah,
and
I feel
don't know,
that.
I think, yeah, like, I'm good about the fact that it doesn't necessarily like stop me, but it's still just this, there is like a constant reverb effect, or just the occasional second guessing. You're just, when you could just feel other, like, whatever other people are thinking. And yeah, it's a lot. And I was thinking the other day too about how when I went to UMass in April, and I forgot about that like really huge breakthrough that I had there, because it was the first time that I was like in the halls of my department and kind of explaining to people the path that I was going down with trying to do research that's a bit more based on consciousness and all these things, and getting these weird looks, and just trying to figure out how to explain it to the other astronomers in my department. And it's a lot, really diverting from the main path.
Yeah.
And it was so much like going back to the department that time, and really needing to kind of stand my ground in my choice and of life. And I think that's the other thing too, kind of with the job stuff. It's, just feeling like I don't necessarily fit anywhere, or I don't want like a mainstream path. And then it's like, well, it's a by choice. I'm currently not working because I haven't technically like applied to any other thing. But then, then I kind of like zoom out and I'm like, right, I have this PhD, like these, there's like everyone goes on and everyone's doing their research and everything. And I could have applied for a standard job like that, but I'm like, I don't know. And it's kind of just, I don't know, amplifying this kind of black sheep mentality. of like, why am I not fucking working and making money with my PhD? What the fuck are you doing, Alyssa? Get off your fucking ass. Like, you know, there's like that thought too. I'm like, what the fuck? You're not even doing anything.
It's a lot.
But then I'm like, and then I'm just stupidly waiting for the perfect aligned position to fall into my lap. And I thought that it literally did. And I'm like, well, am I stupid for thinking that, you know, like, I don't, you know, it just kind of puts me in this waiting position. I'm just like, what am I doing?
It's a lot of self-judgment.
I think it's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Just want to say thanks for being vulnerable and sharing. And also, I'm holding space for you, and you're safe and held in this space as we move through some of these things. Are you... I want you to feel into your root chakra right now.
Okay.
What's coming up? Take your time.
Well, initially when I tried to just like psychically, you know, tap into it, I did feel kind of these like, I kind of energetically see these like little spots, or it feels a little bit like weak. Like a little frail.
Okay.
I think it's this like really strong desire for sovereignty, because I am very much, I think that's what exacerbates this for me. Like, I am very much like lone wolf kind of energy so far in life, or just, I don't know, I really like being on my own, or just I really like having freedom, and it just, I think I'm starting to feel like the effects of it having been a long time that I've had this like independent sovereignty, you know, and I think that is pretty tied up in root chakra stuff, because that's what makes me feel like strong. It's like I don't need necessarily like a place to be rooted down, and I think for my root chakra stuff, it's this self-sufficiency. And obviously when you haven't been self-sufficient for a while, when you've been out, you know, depending out like an external people, whatever, I think that's kind of maybe what's contributing to this, what feels like weakness. Alright, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and for listening to me get emotional about all things finances, which I think is pretty relatable. So on this, on the next episode, it's going to be a part 2, and so we're going to kind of continue to hear me talk through these things in real time, but Mikayla kind of intervenes more, and she basically, you know, we kind of like go through a bit of a session, and in next week's episode there's a bit of a 15-20 minute kind of guided meditation, clearing, healing that we do around my root chakra. So that's definitely going to be really powerful, and kind of something that anyone can really follow along and use, and yeah, just kind of a good example of actively moving through things. And I did really feel better after recording that episode. So thank you everyone for being here and for listening. Please make sure to give us a subscribe on YouTube, and follow me on Instagram at interdimensional.astrophysics, Mikayla at Mariposa Moonchild, and follow the podcast at the Orphic Podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.